Alright, what's up everyone? My name is Crash Nate, and I am here with Voidworm,
Hello.
and I'm here with Haley,
Hello.
and let's get started.
We've got stuff for you guys today.
Alright,
We really do.
so
The biggie.
this is gonna be a fun, jam-packed episode, and I'm excited. So, anyone have any thoughts before we dive right in, or should we dive right in?
Let's just get straight to
let-
it. Let's get
it-
to it.
Let's just get
Alright,
it, honestly.
so we are on Friends. We all have friends.
We're full of friends.
That's our first topic for today, isn't it?
Yep, and if you saw
Friends.
my Crash Saint and Friends yesterday, you saw that was about friends. And we're totally not gonna do the same thing we did yesterday, but let's do it in their own way.
For
So,
everybody who's just new and coming into it, we'll put the link to that video and Nate's channel in the description. So the link is in the description. Subscribe to Nate, listen to his content. It's great stuff.
It really is.
perfect. Okay,
It's
so
worth the wait.
It is.
I know Void Worm, you listened to that video last night, right?
Yes.
I don't know if Hay ever got the chance to.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was busy. But, so,
Yeah.
when you watched that video, was there anything that you wanted, like, have questions about? Per se,
I
like
think
anything?
I would say I think if you were to give the audience a few more examples of different kinds of friendships, different types of relationships people have with each other and with you, I think that would enlighten many people because there are many different forms of friendship, of relationship, and I think that would be interesting to talk about. I think a lot of us have those experiences where we have
Oh,
different types of friends, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the dynamic is different.
Yeah, because, you know, I got my work friends, I got you guys, I got, you know, like, best friends that were from, like, high school, stuff like that.
Yes.
yeah.
I
Do you
know.
have any questions for us specifically, or maybe it's the same, similar to the questions that you had for Titan yesterday?
Alright. So, first question is, here, let me pull my little questionnaire. So, am I a friend to you guys?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Absolutely, like 100%.
Perfect. You guys didn't even say no.
No,
Like Titan
Nate,
did.
we don't
No,
like
Nick,
you.
we're just not friends with you
That's
secretly.
what Titan did on my stream last night. I asked him my friends. He
Oh
he was
my
like,
god!
no. Wait, I mean
Titan,
yes.
we love you very much, Titan.
Guys, if you're watching this from wherever you are, we love
Okay,
you.
so
Totally.
so as I look back, do you guys have friends that you don't talk to anymore?
Yes, absolutely. 110 on that one as well.
And kind of segueing from that, do you have like friends that you don't talk to but you wish you did, or like whenever you guys try to talk, it just doesn't make sense anymore? It's not.
Not really in my case. Normally, if they don't put the same amount of effort in, then I'm kind of like, peace out, I'm out of here. Unless I form like a really special connection that will obviously move on to a more than friendship basis. But honestly, if they don't put the time and effort in, why would I personally bother? It's just a waste of energy for me, and I'm already tired enough as is.
Mm.
So,
I think work. I think a lot of people nowadays, I find it's almost like they do have the time, but it's an energy thing as well, isn't it? It's almost like, oh, is this worth my time? Where's this going? What's going on with this? Like, I there are many different things pulling in many different directions, and as well, there are a lot of people that are not demanding, but expecting your time as well. It can be difficult to maintain things on
Yeah.
the same level. I've found. I found
Ye-
that's changed as I've grown up as well.
I've definitely noticed
Um,
it with like what I call like a social battery, and it's basically like how much energy I'm willing to spend in like a gathering or if I'm with a certain person. And I find definitely as I've grown up, that battery has just decreased and decreased over time because I'm just done with people at this point.
but on the question of people who, I think everybody to some extent has had the situation when you were friends and now you aren't anymore. There can be many reasons for this.
Sure.
Most friendships end when you kind of drift apart, and if I'm honest, that's a natural, normal thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, it's not. Sometimes you move away, you find a different job, you find different interests, or you move on to a different dynamic. I've found that a lot of the friends I have, um, they kind of have. It's almost like the gradient of a painting or the gradient of a picture. You change gradually, and you almost fit. You start to fit a new mold. I found that for a lot of people who I know. So some of them are in our kind of little circle. Um, I found those are the most satisfying because you can move into a different dynamic, but not lose the contact or the bond that you have with that person. That's
Yeah.
what I found. The worst thing that happens, I think, is when a friendship ends suddenly. That's the worst thing. Um,
Yes.
it's not the worst thing in the world, but in comparison to other things, but specifically speaking on the topic of friendship, that can be not nice. I think a lot of us have had at least one situation like that,
Oh yeah.
or close to that, where a person has just suddenly either there's been a disagreement, it was something you did, something they did. I think those are the most difficult to get over because it's in my mind, I would say it's almost as if someone has passed away. You have to mourn for that kind of person. It's almost like when someone breaks up with you or you break up with someone. I find that's also something that tends to happen, and it takes a while to get over those things. But
Yeah, sure.
Haley, what do you think, Haley?
Definitely agree. I recently had an incident, as you guys know, I've talked about it, where a really close friend of mine
Hmm.
who sometimes we were just really close. We drifted apart, we went our separate ways, and it definitely hurt inside a lot. Like I was mourning for a couple of weeks, and like I just found myself thinking about them a lot and just like wondering like what the future would have held if we like stayed together as friends. But in the end, it is what it is, and if we come back, we come back. If we don't, we don't.
Yes, but this is for a little bit more clarification, if I may, Haley. It's this is a situation when somebody has moved away. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
That's like a sudden change almost. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you would have talked about it with this person, but it would have been difficult because suddenly someone is not there, and
Yeah.
there's almost a void. If I may cite my username,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there is a void in
Literal pun intended.
but
Yeah.
I think I find that it for me it's always been the case that it doesn't necessarily matter how long you go away. It's more like when you eventually come back to each other, then things remain the same. I've always liked friendships like that. So you can go away
Yeah.
for like a week or something. And then it's you still have that momentum that is difficult to maintain sometimes. I find that being online, especially during the events of this last 2 years, it's been a little bit easier to maintain um, things, specifically with online people.
Yeah.
But who knows what will happen? People might graduate, people might find a new job, find a new hobby, and slowly drift away. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course,
it happens. It does happen. Um, I would say that's the most frequent way that two friends stop being friends essentially, or
Yeah.
either that, or you move, you change the status without necessarily not being friends. You become like an old friend or a friend that you speak to once a year or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Nate, why do you think the topic of friends was one you wanted to bring up today? Why was that on your mind, so to speak?
Because, because I think friendship is important. It's obviously, if I didn't have like what I have now, who knows where I would be right now.
Hmm.
And friends
It would
have
be a different
really,
world.
they have based like what my life is now and how I kind of live because of my friends. And
Would you say
talking of,
oh, sorry.
oh yeah, when we're talking about, when we don't have friends anymore, like friends that quit being friends and how that hurts.
Hmm.
You guys, remember that one I brought up on my show last night about my one friend that just quit talking to me. Still
Yes.
haven't talked to them. It's been over a year and a half. They just
I
disappeared.
I think those those are the things that are the most painful, because at least if you have an argument of some sort, you know why things ended.
Yeah,
Whereas if I find that if somebody just disappears, that's the most painful thing,
I know it
because
Yeah.
was.
you don't know what it was that ended it or what happened. I hate to I hate to go kind of a little too extreme, but they somebody could have died and you wouldn't know, and it's like
Yeah.
that's almost what it's like. I
Yeah,
find it's almost as if you didn't mean anything to that person. They didn't think to say goodbye. Um, I think that's really horrible. I think that's one of the most horrible
yeah.
things you could do, with
And like,
to go out the door without saying that you're leaving, essentially. Um, I think it on kind of the broader topic. I think it is useful to have almost like a mutual platform that all of your friends are on. So for us, it's things like Discord, Roblox. We're on other things as well, aren't we? On
yeah,
YouTube as well. Um, that seems to be a thing that binds us all together. It's almost like those necklaces that girls wear, where it's like, and boys, but there's like little beads on it, and they're all different colors, but that it's
Like
almost like
bath necklaces.
I don't know. I'm not into women's fashion.
Oh my
so like,
god.
but the thing
But I
is,
can pick out a good wedding dress.
I second that. Maybe not. I'll have to see your skills when it comes to my wedding day.
We'll
so
see.
I have
I'm
a
scared.
question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what happens like if like when or if I run into this person at like a grocery store or something?
Oh, so
How would
it's
I?
someone that's actually near you.
Yeah, what would
Ooh.
happen like if like
I think a lot of the time what people would do, and it's something that I've got experience with, and I think a lot of people do, is they will pretend that you don't exist. Essentially, they'll look at you for a second, and then they'll recognize you, and then they'll turn their head away, and you're not a part of their life.
yeah,
I've found that that's the most common thing people do. People just, and if you wave to them, they'll acknowledge you sometimes. But I've had an experience where somebody has almost like avoided looking at me because they don't want to acknowledge that I exist in a way.
yeah,
It's you're in the halls at school and you like say someone's name and they don't hear you and then you try waving to
Mm,
them and they don't see you and you just kind of feel really awkward about it and you're just
mm.
kind of there like, oh, okay, I don't exist.
It's almost like that person in a way feels guilty that they're not friends with you, but they don't have the kind of capability of actually acknowledging it. That's what I found. It's one of those things that I think people, for example, if you were in the high street or in the street and you walked past, for example, a homeless person, what a lot of people do, and they have done studies into this, is some people kind of look the other way. They kind of go out of their way almost to pretend that person is not there, because it's almost like anything to avoid acknowledging that this is something that happens in life. I think if people acknowledged it and they were like, okay, we're not friends, but hello anyway, I think that would be easier for a lot of people, I would say.
Yeah, 110 on that.
But
Yeah.
I mean, Haley, have you ever had an experience where somebody? I mean, this is kind of personal, so it's up to you. But have you ever had an experience where something like that has happened to you, where somebody has almost not acknowledged you in that way?
Yeah, I have. A couple years ago, I got into a little fight with some of my friends, and I had to go to school the next day. And both sides of each friend group that I was in were angry at me because I was at one group's friends' throats for disclosing something, and I was at another one for apologizing. And they just all kind of ignored me to have their time to like grieve and stuff. And like it felt like really just empty. Like I'd walk up the halls and I like try to say hi or like look at them and they just like avert their gaze and I'd just be like sitting alone in the corner like reading a book because like I didn't know what to do with myself. And it was just
Mm.
kind of like, whoa, like is this what it's like when like someone like leaves and then like just leaves on a whim and then you see them and it's just like, whoa. Like
I
what?
can I can tell it's something that it's almost like it's still something that you don't quite understand yourself.
Mhm.
And the reason I think I can tell that's kind of the thing that's going on is that the amount of times you said like in that sentence, right? It's almost as if you yourself find it hard to acknowledge that this is something that's other people have done to you. You know,
Yeah.
I think I think all of us at one point actually now, more some of us more recently than others, some of us more intensely than others, um, kind of understand now. I think all three of us understand what it's like to feel like you haven't been acknowledged or to feel abandoned by people. You know what I mean? It's horrible. It's one of the most horrible feelings I think I've ever felt.
It's
Um,
like almost next to having like someone replace you in a sense. Like
mm,
if you like ever been in a situation where you think or you are being replaced, it's like whether it be like a friendship, an acquaintance, or even a relationship, like it freaking stings, man. Like holy.
yeah, it's not pleasant because it's almost as if you're treated as if you don't exist, and that's almost like not being alive. That's almost like having passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, even people who have passed away, people have funerals for them, they remember them, stuff like that. But when somebody does not acknowledge uh, anything, I think that's one of the worst forms of kind of social ostracization. Um, it's something that people do from like almost like a tactic so that they don't have to learn anything from it, so that they don't have to acknowledge it. If you don't acknowledge something, then you don't have to learn from it. And I think that's, in a way, we should be thankful that that they're actually not in our lives in that sense, because I think that, I mean, how much damage have they've done damage, but how much damage have you saved yourself from them doing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Like it's just such an empty feeling. Like
Mm,
it's so hard to explain cuz like it just hurts so bad that you can't form words.
mm, mm.
It's
It's like a
like
feeling that you can't ascribe words to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate,
exactly
what do you think?
about the whole thing that we're kind of talking about, like with the friends kind of
Yeah, yeah,
disappearing.
yeah.
So if I kind of go back to like what I said about what if I run into them,
Yes.
Yeah.
I've run into their family in the last year, and they just say hi, and I'm like, oh hi, but they probably don't know what happened.
Yes, that's another thing, isn't
Right?
And
It's like seeing your ex's mom in
yeah,
public and like
it?
they say like, "Oh my god, hi, how you been?" and like they have no clue or they're just like still trying to remain friends with you and it's
yeah,
just like, "Oh my god, like hi, I miss you, but what?"
that's what it's
And
like,
you
and
you wonder whether they kind of know what's happened. You know what I mean? Like, or whether they're wondering because you don't know what they talk to their parents about. So I think people always worry that if they see the parent or the guardian or the elder figure, that kind of thing,
That's what I'm
or
afraid of.
relatives. Yeah, I'd be afraid of what was told about me to the parents, because that's secondhand knowledge. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's not
Yeah.
they've only been told something, possibly. So yeah, I can definitely understand that feeling.
Honestly,
And like,
I'd be less worried about like the parent because he seemed like a pretty cool guy.
yeah.
And then plus there's
But
like
it's like,
friends with
what
my
has
dad.
that child relayed? Like that
Yeah.
that person could have like twisted something and been like, oh, they left me, and like, who's the parent gonna believe, this friend of the kid or their actual kid? Like,
Yeah,
Well,
it's
thing is,
never pleasant.
no one has said anything to me in the last year. Obviously, like the dad figure is a pretty vocal person. If something was twisted about me and it pissed him off, he probably would have
told you by now.
confronted me.
Yeah.
And that never happened, so
Fingers
So I think
crossed.
you're safe in that regard,
Yeah.
but like, you never know, honestly, because
But-
I've been in like places where people have twisted stuff about me, and people have came to me and been like, "Yo, did you do this?" And I'm like, "What? No, like that's not
Yeah.
me."
But you know, the only person you have to worry about would be like the boyfriend or something, because obviously they
Yeah,
would
that
have
type
said
of stuff's
something.
very sticky. I have been there, done that. Not fun.
You've done a lot, Haley.
Yeah,
in your time.
yeah. In my time of being alive, have I made mistakes? Yes. Were they good mistakes? No. Has literally everyone lectured me about them? Yeah. But am I still here? Yeah. So like, I'm still kicking.
I'm gonna keep holding you to that.
That's how it
Yeah,
works, you know.
literally, Voidworm lectures me every day. So
Void worm.
Voidworm.
Voidworm,
Okay, say that 3 times fast.
Oh no.
Void worm, void worm,
Voidworm.
void worm.
Voidworm.
There.
That's
It's easy.
oh my god.
It's actually easy. Wait, what? Voidword. Nope.
Try and pronate
Pernate.
try and pronounce the name of my previous account name. Do you remember my previous one?
Tassel
Tatzel, some people call it Tatzel Coatless, some people call it
Oh, I thought you meant your
Oh my
new
God.
backup.
Tassel
I thought it was-
Coatlas.
Don't use that. That's a secret. I've been banned.
Oh, whoops! You heard nothing.
Roblox, you heard nothing. Don't sue us. Don't look for my account.
Don't ban him again for 7 days.
Oh, don't worry.
I'm
They'll
so
they'll
sorry.
ban
I
me.
acknowledged someone. I acknowledged a group of people existed.
Tassel Coatlas, tax.
I just called you Tazzle or Tat.
Tassel.
I was gonna do
Tassel Coatloose.
I was gonna do a what's it gonna be? Oh, it's not even funny. I was gonna do an April Fool's Day. You know, when you can rename your account. I was
Yeah.
gonna call myself Pretzel Coatlas. I don't know why, but I'm
What?
quite sure. Well, there you go. See?
It's like a bunch of people with my name. They always go like Amistress, Amestress. I'm just like, it's a mistress. It's a Greek word. Like, calm down.
It almost sounds like they're calling you like a amoeba.
It does too.
But-
I thought about that.
So
The
kinda-
biology student in me is like amoeba,
Yeah.
Amestress. Wait, what?
To go off the rails a little bit, what does Amestress mean?
Amestress. Oh God, if I can even
We
think of
looked
what I
into
used
this.
to know it down by heart of what it means. But it is a name of a city from my favorite anime, Full Metal Alchemist. 10 out of 10 recommend. Go watch that.
Of course, it's anime related. God damn it.
Oh,
Well,
God.
yeah, obviously. And it is like
Like that
it's an
Beastars
old
one.
city in the show, but I think it used to be like a god or something, or like a deity in Greek mythology. Like, I don't remember what the deity was. I think
Wait,
it was
wait.
like
How are you pronouncing that, Haley?
Amestress.
No.
Mistress.
No, the other one. The other name for the god.
Deity?
Diary?
My God, leave me alone.
I believe you're referring to a deity.
It's deity.
It's deity.
Deity.
That's not my fault. I can't say words
Can
right,
I
like
just-
Brad.
Can I just remind the audience and my fellow stream members that we're supposed to be on topic? We've gone
But
off
we're
topic.
not. Deity.
Yeah, it's
Deity?
about
Deity?
You enjoying
friends.
your deity?
Oh my God.
This is how every podcast is supposed to go. Is a little off topic for fun.
Yeah, we planned this. We planned this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we totally.
So speaking of friends, let's talk about the Mormon Church. I'm just kidding. That's another can of worms.
Oh, I
I'm
found
not
out the
gonna
meaning of a
open.
mistress. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
It means it was an old Persian goddess named Amastri, if I'm pronouncing that. I probably just butchered that. But it means strong woman, and she was a Persian queen and the wife of Xerxes, one of Persia. And
You mean Xerxes the First?
Yeah.
Xerxes? What did I say?
You
Yeah.
said Xerxes won.
And by the way, what I just said about like the Mormon Church, I don't mean that itself is a can of worms. I just mean the whole topic of religion is. So please don't hate on me.
I was gonna
Don't
say,
cancel
the
him.
Mormon Church, please do not sue us.
Yeah, don't cancel
sue us,
me.
Don't cancel us.
Here, let's just
We
switch to
support all Mormons
Scientology.
here.
Or the Church
Oh.
of the Living Fields of Redneck America.
What?
Oh God.
Church of the Deity.
Church of the Deity.
The Church of the Amestris.
Do we have anything else that we'd like to say on this topic, or shall we move on to the next one?
Maybe
Oh,
we
God.
should. Maybe for the sanity of our minds and for the show, maybe we should move on.
We really should have renamed ourselves because we are the eccentric, eclectic lunatics.
I always thought it was eclectic. Or
What?
epileptic.
The epileptic?
Oh.
Epileptic.
Haley, you need your
Epilepsy.
You need your sanity checked.
Alright.
I need therapy is what I need. at
So
this
shall
point.
I switch to the next image?
Okay, so Haley, this is the topic you wanted to talk about.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about why you picked this topic, and then
On Canadian
And,
politics.
yes.
All right. So if you don't know, hi, I'm Hay, and I'm from Canada.
Oh!
Basically,
No, you're just American, Haley.
shut up. That's not true. I'm not American. Don't listen to him. We are a different breed. I promise.
I'm from America.
Anyways, so if you haven't heard, or if you have, then good for you. You're caught up with the world. But basically, on September 20th, Canada is heading into our federal election,
Hell
which
yeah.
means the current Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau's 3-year term, I believe, is up. So
Yahoo!
it is a big thing right now of what we're learning in my global politics class. We've been talking a lot about it. We've been having a lot of conversations about different parties all across Canada in different provinces and stuff like that. Because not only is there a federal election heading on, there's also members of the council around the different provinces of Canada and MLAs still going through provincial elections. And my province right now, from the province of Nova Scotia, is going through one right now as we speak. So it's a big cluster of just chaos at the moment. Canada is going to burn like the United States did, but like that's fine. Anyways, so as of right now, as politics stand, the Liberal Party is currently in the lead. With 31.6% of votes in Canada, and the party of the opposition, which is Conservative, is behind them with a 31.1% of votes. NDP is behind them with 20.1. The Bloc de Québécois is behind NDP with a 6.6. We don't like them. Nobody does. Quebec sucks. Don't kill me. The People's Party is behind the Bloc to Quebec wall, which is extremely surprising, I think. Not really, never mind. With a 6.5% vote. And then the poor Green Party, who never wins and is always in last, is a 3.1% right now. So it is definitely, it's going to be weird this year because with the events of the last 2 years, our politics have just been in chaos. If you also haven't heard, our current prime minister, when he's on his tour for like trying to earn votes and stuff, he got gravel thrown at him.
Wait, what?
So,
Wait, what?
because
By the way, just as a side note, we condemn all forms of political violence on this channel. Please do not banish us. Please do not.
No, we don't condemn.
No, we do. Political violence bad. Political violence wrong.
Yeah.
Then I don't know what condemn means.
It
Never mind.
means you don't know what that word means?
I don't know.
Okay, let's give her.
We thought we were more prepared for this podcast.
It's fine. It's totally fine. It's all good.
Haley. So if we move on to the next slide,
Here,
do you
condemn
mind giving
means
us kind of what's that Nate?
condemn means to express strong disapproval of.
Yes, we
Okay.
very much disapprove of political
So you
violence.
just said
Don't
you
approve of political violence.
you just said
Don't listen
you
to us.
support
Don't
what
listen to me,
happened.
actually, I'm quite not caught up.
I can't believe you support this.
Haley,
All right.
if you could give us, so if we move on to the next slide, could you please give us a kind of an overview of what from a Canadian mindset, what was it that caused this election? What began it?
Definitely a big uproar with like the COVID policies that our federal government has put in place, and for different phases of the reopening of the provinces played a big fact. Also just a general cause for the election. Here in Canada, compared to other countries in the world, our term is 3 years, and they can get back in the office if you are the previous one, but Trudeau's 3 years is up, so it's time for another election. But one of the major causes of this election and why it is so important
What
is
slide
because
should it be on?
Oh, slide 4, Nate.
Wait, so wait, on Canadian politics? Because I'm on Canadian politics. Is that the right
You want to be on the one after that.
the one after that? Causes of
The
election?
causes of election. Yes.
All right. Because no one ever said anything.
and pretend that never happened. Anyway,
It did happen.
Anyways, so basically, of course, the events of the last 2 years, our country has been in shambles. The whole world has been in shambles. It's definitely like just a huge mess of everything. And I find it really funny, which is why I'm laughing as I talk about it, because Canadian politics have just turned into a joke now for most Canadians because it's just so pathetic. It's almost as bad as the USA politics. No offense to the USA. You're still our great neighbor, but your politics are a mess.
Yeah, same for you, Missy.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically like the cause is just because there's been so much going on in the world, and literally no one can agree on anything within Canada. Both the people and the political spectrum are just a disaster, and no one can confirm on one thing or not. Because in my province, we went through phases of reopening due to COVID-19. And we were supposed to enter phase 5 a couple days ago, which would have been our final reopening phase, which would have disregarded like masks. All restrictions would have been lifted. There would have been like a little bit of border restrictions left in, but life was going to resume back to normal. And of course, cases skyrocketed 3 days before we were supposed to reopen, and now our reopening plan has been pushed to sometime in October. So it's a hot disaster. I'm not gonna lie. It really is.
Do you I'm not quite, if we roll it back a bit, I'm not quite sure of kind of like the because I'm obviously not Canadian. On the time frame of this election, what was it? Did Trudeau call it because he thought that he was popular, or was it a snap election?
Yes, that is Trudeau. Trudeau called it because he thought he was doing great, that he was doing everything right with COVID, and he wasn't a disaster, and that everyone would vote for him. Really is not the case. He kind of screwed himself over, honestly, because over the last few years, Trudeau was good at the start, but he has really declined Canada. Like, not a lot of people like them. Personally, none of our candidates are good. I despise all of them. They're just all politicians are just a no in my book. Like, just go to war and just burn the country.
But
yeah,
isn't
no, don't do that. We don't condemn that. we condemn that. I'm sorry.
True. Well, it's like you're saying, he is, but
He really is.
that's not the point.
That's the point.
The problem is
It can't be hot.
Trudeau, as far as I've been hearing, has gone through kind of, it's almost like scandal after scandal after scandal.
Yeah.
I think there was that notorious picture that everybody's seen where he's kind of in blackface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let's pull that up really quick. Wait, I
Oh
can't.
gosh, you want to pull up?
Oh god.
Please no, we don't want that. But and then there was another thing about an ethics commission. That's what I've been hearing. Like he was accused of lying to, and then he was on holiday at some inappropriate time.
Like
It seems
holiday
to be
COVID and like everything
That-
now.
Then
that's how it seems. He seems to be kind of just he keeps going basically, but he doesn't seem to be kind of pushing much. You know what I mean? Like he
No, he's really
going.
not. He's
Then-
just he's not on an up or a down. He's like in a straight line and very, very well, I should say down, because he's very quickly going downhill with all of his views and stuff, and just all of Canada just doesn't like him.
just imagine.
It's always been like a battle between liberal and conservatives, and it's just on fire right now.
Can I kind of derail a little bit?
Yeah.
Do you remember that Rob Ford guy that was like the mayor of Toronto?
Oh my god, not the conservative guy. No one liked him. Didn't he die?
Yeah, he did. Unfortunately,
Did he die in office? Like
No, out of
is
office.
he a sitting person when not in office.
he withdrawed from his like re-election because of
He withdrew from
cancer was discovered.
Oh,
But
that's sad.
right after he died, they released a video of him like smoking crack in his like sister's basement or something.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
I didn't hear
there's a
about
video
this.
of him.
I did not. That's Ontario. That's a whole different breed. I don't mess with the Ontarians.
Yeah, he did crack. He smoked a bunch of it.
We need to tighten on.
Right?
Um,
he like smacked me for that, but
Okay.
If you could give us kind of just a very quick, maybe 30 seconds, a minute, a quick overview of kind of geographically how the country tends to vote. For example, the western provinces, do they vote differently to the eastern ones, north, south? Where are the votes? Where are they clustered? Do you know what I mean?
So middle of Canada, so like your prairie provinces, your big oil fields, your farmland stuff, they mostly vote conservative. They're like Texas of Canada. It's quite insane, but they're blocked into like a little conservative part. Mostly up north, like towards northern regions. So like all of Nunavut, if you can see on the clusters of elections, I do have a little map there showing the different clusters of voting. Mostly all of Nunavut is actually NDP, which is really surprising because in the past, some NDPs haven't had the greatest views for like the northern community. But this year they're definitely like stepping it up, so that's a really good thing. The rest of the northern territories, because they're not provinces, they are territories. They're all liberal, which is pretty set standard. British Columbia is NDP, not surprising, and there's a little portion of Vancouver Island that votes Green Party. Don't know what that's about. I'm pretty sure they just like their weed because BC is always high. Anyways,
I can see a very tiny part of New Brunswick, I believe, as well, which is also slightly
yes,
green. Green votes, for those who don't know, Green Party votes tend to be very concentrated in smaller areas. If that makes sense, and then they tend to kind of stack votes, and then that's how they get more and more members of parliament. It's a different strategy than I think a lot of the other parties use. And if you look at the little image that we've got up on the stream, that blue, that cyan light blue, what is that? Tell us about that.
That is a Bloc de Québécois. So that is mostly Quebec, all of Quebec. And they're the separatists of the group. They've wanted to separate from Canada, be their own little Frenchy French province for the longest time, and they've never succeeded because the federal has outlawed them in doing so because it's just going to cause more war like it did back in the 1800s with the Plains of Abraham. But I won't get into that. That's a history lesson. But that is the Quebecois party. They rule over a majority, if not most, of Quebec. There are a few parts in Quebec, a few tiny little pieces that are conservative and liberal. And if you also look, if you also look, Ontario is actually quite a bit blue. Like, they're quite a bit for the Bloc Québécois because they are neighbors, but up there is mostly the French side of Ontario because Ontario has a little bit of French in it, as do most of, like, the eastern provinces on the East Coast. They're also a little bit liberal, a little bit conservative. There's a couple, they're just a big mix. Down towards the States and, like, the Toronto area, they're mostly all conservative with a little teeny bit of NDP mixed in there. Very few far in between up there. As you can see for my province, the little lobster claw, that is good old Nova Scotia. We are mostly all liberal with a tiny bit of conservative. It's, if you look at it, we have one little section that's blue. That is the French shore. I don't know why they're conservative. I've never been there. I don't tend to go there because it's scary, but
it's scary.
That might explain it a little bit.
Yeah, explain.
If it's farming, kind of remote farming, conservative, those kinds of things all kind of roll up together. So that might be it. It might be sparsely populated, kind of old-timey. I don't mean that in a derogative way, but the conservative communities tend to be more concentrated in rural areas. I find in a lot of countries, not all, but most.
And Newfoundland is all liberal, completely, 110. Don't know what's up there. I am part Newfoundlander, but I don't know. I don't know. It depends on, like, your general geographic area, because as you can tell, like, as Jack said, the more farmer type country lands tend to be more conservative because they're all like, yeah, we're America but Canada, and it's like, no, you're not.
Kind of walking forward a little bit, tell us about the incident that was in the news. I think a lot of people heard about it. I heard about it, and I believe the Conservative frontrunner, I'm sorry, I don't know his name, also condemned it. But tell us about the separatists and the incident with the gravel.
Ooh.
So if we're moving on to the next slide, Nate.
Got it up.
So Trudeau visited a little place called London, Ontario to campaign for the election, try to earn more votes and stuff like that. And on his way back towards the campaign bus to get back on, continue his travel across Canada, he was thrown with gravel from the protesters within the crowd he was meeting with.
Ow.
It was basically, it was another party leader, from what I heard, PPC, People's Party of Canada, that condoned it for some reason. Like, the people who were voting for the PPC, I keep wanting to say PCP, but that's a type of piping.
Just on a little side note, Haley, kind of what is the ideology of the PPC? Is it left wing, right wing? Kind of. Obviously, we know they're separatists to some extent, but tell us a little bit more about that.
The PPC is definitely interesting. I don't know a lot about them because I don't like to read into them, because Maxime Bernier is very, very, like, or just, they're one of his people got arrested for assault with a weapon. So that's not that good. They're very they're right libertarianism and they're right wing populism.
Right.
They also have deep ideas on Canadian nationalism, classic liberalism, and conservatism.
Would you say that they are quite as a party in general? Would you say that they are quite not militant but aggressive in their tactics?
Yes, very. They are very snappy when it comes to their way of like voting and trying to get things. A lot of their voters are seen as very aggressive, as those were the ones who condemned the assault on Trudeau with the gravel. They do not like any other parties at all. They don't like working with other parties. They kind of think they're running on top of things. They're all for like reduced immigration. They're like scrapping multiculturalism. They withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord and supply management,
Wow.
and they're just.
Would you say they are quite almost like Trumpist, Trump-ish, if that makes sense?
Kind of. They're definitely like the mini Trump of Canada, if I were to say.
Yeah.
Make Canada great again.
They're a lot. Make Canada great again. I heard that name. That was funny.
There's a lot to unpack about this specific situation, but I obviously we condemn violence, political violence.
Well, except
we
Haley,
don't like it.
apparently.
except people who
apparently,
don't
know what the word condemn means. Oh my god!
Okay. You're on a live stream. You can be forgiven.
Right?
Well, maybe not if someone turned it off after they heard her say that.
Oh gosh, can you imagine?
Oh my god.
So Haley, what would be your final verdict? What would be the of Trudeau, of the other parties? Would you like Trudeau to carry on as Prime Minister? What's your personal opinion? Would you say?
My personal opinion on the verdict is that I want none of them in office, to be honest. They're all they all don't have what it takes personally to be Canada's Prime Minister. Coming from someone whose parents are in the healthcare industry and have been for 20 plus years, they have severely watched Canada's healthcare decline and no one do anything about it for the longest time. And it's really frustrating to have them be frustrated with their jobs and stuff like that. And have them like just go through all of this and still be like disregarded totally, even though healthcare is the only thing keeping Canada alive right now with the COVID-19 crisis. If I was to vote, I'm not legal age to vote yet. I still have one more year to go. I would vote NDP personally because they have the views I agree with the most. They're very they're a lot for climate action. They're really down to cracking down the healthcare, trying to get that all settled out. They're very pro-immigration. They're very pro-choice. They're very pro-refugee.
Would you say that they are? Sorry to interrupt. I just want to kind of nail down. Would you say they're the kind of more progressive side of are they the more progressive party in Canada? Would you say?
Yes. They're definitely looking forward to like definitely push Canada to what it needs to be. There's another incident in Alberta actually involving something called the Maverick Party, which is actually on a federal level right now. They don't have a proper seat or riding. They're in the other category on the voting block, which has 0.1% of voting, so they're definitely not going to win. But they're pushing towards separatist of the West. So they want Alberta, all the prairie provinces to be separated like Quebec tried to do. And it's extremely interesting because they're all anti-immigration. And another fun fact, Quebec is trying to outlaw religion at the moment.
Interesting.
Really?
Yes. The
No
Bloc de Quebecois
Scientology for
leaders
them.
stated recently in a conference that wearing any religious headdressing, such as a hijab, a scarf, a turban, would be outlawed in Quebec if he became leader of Canada.
What do you think? What's your personal opinion of that? Do you think it's good, bad, a mix of the two? What do you think? What do you think about that?
I think it is absolutely like atrocious in my opinion. It's just not good whatsoever. It's just, why would you do that? Canada is a place of freedom and people are free to practice their religion. We have welcomed multiple religions. We have Canada as itself, our culture is a mix of everyone else's culture because we are such a diverse country. And having that instated, it just totally ruins the ideology that Canada has as a country.
I think, and it's obviously one that is an ideology which is kind of like a give and take, and there's lots of things to work out, and there's lots of roadblocks along the way. But I think a lot of people see it as this: America is a place, and I think I've said this before in the past. America is a place where it's a melting pot, so everybody is encouraged to kind of become American, bring their stuff with them, but try and be American. There's an American mindset, kind of an American thing. So that's one way of integrating new arrivals. And Canada is often referred to as a mosaic, which means that everybody is slightly different. Everybody's encouraged to be diverse and kind of culturally divergent. I mean, just look at the examples in Canada. You've got the Indigenous. You've got and within the Indigenous groups, there are many groups that are also very different. You've got French, you've got English-speaking Scottish, you've got new arrivals, refugees from many parts of the world, Iraq, Syria, maybe Afghanistan is the most recent, of course. There's people from British Columbia who are of, I believe, Hong Kong Chinese heritage.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Canada is a very is often defined by the fact that it allows its citizens and it promotes its citizens to be very dynamic, different, that kind of thing. So that those are two different ways of approaching things. Both have positives and negatives, but I would say Canada does have that sense of try and be yourself. You're encouraged to be kind of your own heritage, all these things.
And if I can add something,
yeah, for sure.
Might be a little off topic, but when I went to Canada, it was the most welcoming experience I've had. Like everyone I ran into was like super nice. It's one of the coolest places I've been to.
Yeah, we definitely hold a good pride and like everyone thinks like we're so welcoming and stuff like that. And it's true, we are a very nice and welcoming country, but I'm an awful exemplar of that because I'm very mean, as some people would call some people call me I'm a bitch. Pardon my language, but I've heard
on the live stream
that. And I'm like definitely not the ideal Canadian because I tell everyone to, F off and stuff like that. But on the general aspect, yes, we are very welcoming.
You apologize a lot is the stereotype.
I would hate to drive in front of her.
I'd hate to be in front of her when she's driving.
Yeah.
I'd probably cut you off or try to race you, honestly. I'm pretty much a speed demon when it comes to cars.
Oh my god.
So what would you say? Do you think we've covered that topic nicely, Haley, or would you have any more thoughts that you want to tell us about?
One more thing to say. Screw Trudeau. That's it.
He seems to be very unpopular. I don't know. The thing that always surprises me with Trudeau is that nobody seems to like him, but he seems to keep getting in.
It's because what we're trying to do is there's difference between majority and minority governments. So if majority wins is what we had last time, that specific party has power all over Canada. But if we win minority, which is what is going to happen now if the percentages stay as is, the leading party will have to work with every other party in the party of the opposition.
Then can I throw in a question?
Conform.
You have a question, Nate?
Canadian terms are like 3 years, but
Yes.
are there term limits?
Hmm.
Like,
3 years.
Really? Is it 3 years for a prime minister?
I believe so. As I said, I don't really dive that deep in the politics. This is the first year I've actually really looked into it due to my global politics class. But that'd be something I definitely have to look up. I'm pretty sure it's 3.
for a
You
term,
guys may
but
have
like, how many
a.
terms can they go for?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think there are necessarily term because Canada works in a similar way than that the UK does. So over here, what we have is generally the prime ministers don't actually have term limits. We have had kind of backs and forths. So we had something called the Fixed Term Parliament Act, which made
Yeah.
it so that there has to be an election every 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
At least from the last one that was called. I think that's been repealed now, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
In Canada, there may be a similar system where it's almost like whenever the people kind of just don't like the prime minister anymore, he kind of goes, and then they just have an election every once in a while. I don't think it's the same as America because in America it's every 4 years,
Yep.
and if you
Yeah.
want 2 terms, you only get two. I
I
think I think in Canada it's a little different, but I'll
yeah.
have to look that
I just looked it up. Thankfully, thank God for Google.
up.
But um, the prime minister is not the term
The
is
prime
not
minister.
directly tied to the term of the House of Commons,
Mm.
which the term of the House of Commons is set to 5 years from the most recent general election.
Mm.
And a prime minister has a maximum term of 4 years.
Maximum term 4 years.
So Trudeau's term is up, but he can also run for next
Run for
term.
re-election. Oh, there we go.
They-
I think I have a feeling that he'll just get in,
He
but
probably, much to everyone's disapproval.
that's something we'll have to see.
Oh, let's see what happens. We only live once, you know. And
Okay, so
alright.
we're now moving on to an interesting.
Queen Minaj, Barb Nation, rise up!
Oh no. Okay, so
As we are an hour in.
many of you may have heard about this that happened on Twitter the other day. So the reason that I have named this Queen Minaj is because I think that she's been battling against all of the most annoying people around Twitter, around the internet, in that kind of journalistic, politicky kind of sphere. It was very explosive. I didn't expect it quite to go the way it did, but let's kind of dive in. The little picture at the bottom of this slide, the bottom left. I only put that on because I searched in copyright-free images for Nicki Minaj, and it came up with a picture of two random plants. So that's just there. That's there, just for a little bit of
That's funny.
color, a little bit of yeah.
Man,
But yeah,
can we go there to those plants and take real pictures of them and see if they look like Nicki Minaj?
well, I mean
They do.
she likes the color pink, so I can see the little pink berries, the
Yeah.
pink purple berries. I guess that matches, but
Maybe-
I can't see where Google's got that.
It looks like Nicki
Maybe there's
Minaj
a
to me.
plant named after her.
Could be. That'd be the worst thing ever. Can you imagine?
Oh
Hello,
my
I'm gonna name
God.
my plant after Nicki Minaj.
I don't know what I would do.
So to start off this whole event, what happened was Nicki Minaj tweeted a tweet that caused much controversy on Twitter. People didn't expect her to tweet it, but I'll read it out for our audio listeners. So she says, "My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent." Now, what impotent means is you can't reproduce, so his sperm count basically died.
Oh my God.
But I believe it was temporary though. So that there's a little caveat on that. She goes on to say his testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks
Beautiful.
away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied. Now, I think what most people heard about this was that it was an insane conspiracy theory, and that may be true. What the bit I took from it was basically the bit at the end where she just says, "Make sure you're comfortable with your own decision to get a vaccine. Don't feel like you're being bullied to get it. Make sure it's something that you have come to within your own mind." I don't think, I think most people would say that they don't want vaccines to be mandated on people. I think it's a decision that people need to come to for themselves, and
Yeah.
whatever consequences come from that,
Yeah.
I think that's your responsibility.
A little
Yeah.
note on the
Yeah.
mandatory vaccine thing. Canada is doing something really similar, at least my province is. As of October 4th, you need to be double vaccinated to participate in any recreational things. So that means going out to restaurants, going to movies, going to sporting events. And I personally, as someone who plays high school level sports, I have to be double vaccinated to play high school sports. So luckily, I booked my second one, but I don't like it at all. I feel like people should have the choice to choose if they want the vaccine, and if they want to have the choose if they want it or if they don't. It's like pro-choice. It's like abortion, like, in my sense. Like,
And
what happened to my body?
It's almost like a parallel debate, isn't it? It's very
yeah.
strange. It's like, I think it's taken a lot of people surprise, and I think it, on which side you are on this debate, I think reveals a little bit about maybe some of the other things that you may believe in. And the reason I say that is because I do not believe that vaccines should be mandated on people. I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
This is just my personal opinion. If anybody agrees or disagrees, let us know in the comments, and I think my friends on the podcast here will also share their opinions. But
Yeah.
I really do not like this kind of creeping, because it's something I heard, funnily enough, in Canada during this election that you guys are having, is that
Yes.
Trudeau is in support of mandates, and
Yes.
so is the Conservatives. So essentially, whoever really you vote for, you're voting for vaccine mandates, which I believe is wrong. I don't
Yeah.
like that. That there's no real choice. I think there should be a proper choice as to what people want. If people vote
Yeah.
for it, maybe that's something different. But even then, I really, you're going down a bad situation. I mean, what what
Yeah.
what are people going to say next? That we should kind of put people into little towns where only the unvaccinated are? I don't like this separation between
Yeah.
vaccinated and unvaccinated. I think it's,
People are gonna revolt, and I must say I'm very scared for what Canada's future holds once the mandate is put in place.
Yeah.
if
Definitely the
as
country will burn, in my opinion.
as somebody who's been, I've had my first dose of the vaccine. I had it, I think it was last week or the week before, something like that. And I'm going to get my next one. I Whether you guys want to talk about whether you're vaccinated or not is up to you. But I think that if that's the case and they start passing these mandates, I may even just personally go out and protest these things, because even as a vaccinated person, I really do not like this. I don't like the way that the unvaccinated are being treated. There are so many
Yeah.
things with being unvaccinated. There are so many good reasons, maybe even, that people are unvaccinated, such
Yeah.
as health conditions,
Yep.
and also not wanting to be vaccinated may even be a good enough reason in and of itself if you don't want to
Like,
be.
it is like, as I've dug, it's against a right. It's against your basic human declaration of rights.
Mm.
Canada is the land of freedom, as America is as well. We all have our rights and freedoms, and that, to me, even though there's no direct concept of having that, but like having that as a mandate, like there's nothing really saying like, oh, you can say no to the vaccines, but it just goes as common sense. Like, as a free nation, people have the right to choose. People
Yes.
have to
But
make decisions. And
so
as someone, I'm
yeah.
not anti-vax. Like, that is not at all what I am. Like, I support the vaccine. Like, get it
That's
if you
Yeah.
want. But
yeah.
Yeah.
some people can't. Like,
And
in my group
I've known
with the
people.
Pfizer vaccine,
sorry,
there's
I just want to also mention as a side note, if you kind of go down almost a dark path if you continue down this line of logic, because if you actually look at um certain communities some communities in the world are more vaccine hesitant than others. There have been many kind of things that a few studies, a few polls that have shown that less people are taking vaccines from certain communities. Are you going to force these communities to take them? What if it's against cultural, religious beliefs? I
Yeah.
really, I don't like this. It's almost like your health has to matter more than your rights. I really do not like that.
Yes.
I'm so against that
And,
as a concept. Um,
and can I
but
point something out from this tweet?
yes, of course.
So, he won't get the vaccine because his friend, obviously got it and had something happen to his testicles. And then
Yes,
the girl called off the wedding.
yes.
I have a quick note about that.
Okay.
So, his friend had an STD, and the girl called off the wedding because he got it from cheating. Boom, there's my conspiracy about it.
Don't say conspiracy; we'll get banned off of YouTube.
Oh, we already did. We've been
I,
just talking to a blank space for a
we're
little
just,
bit.
we're just talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that I don't necessarily care about her personal, like, what would you call it, the little information she's gotten from somewhere else that's secondhand, someone else, blah blah blah, this and that. I'm more focusing on the second part of her tweet, which is basically saying that if you're comfortable with something and you're not bullied, then that's fine. And if you
Yeah.
actually have a look at the next tweet that we have here, she actually endorsed getting the vaccine. She said, "I recommend people get the vaccine," because she was talking to one of her supporters, fans, followers, whatever you want to call it. Um, she's in support of getting the vaccine. She thinks she's recommending it. She thinks that it's a good idea. Um, so it's not the case that Nicki Minaj was actually against the vaccine or that she's anti-vaxxer. She's simply raising a concern that she's heard, and she's recommending to people that they take the time, think about these things, make an informed decision, have all the knowledge with you, and then you make your decision. I made the decision to have the vaccine. I think it was the right decision, but there are people who do not feel that way, and we have to respect that they don't feel that way, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and then after this incident on Twitter, there was a person who works with Fox News called Tucker Carlson. Many Americans will have heard of him.
Yeah.
Maybe some foreigners will have heard him. Just as a quick side note, he's generally right leaning. He's kind of a little independent. He's pro. A lot of people see him as almost like pro the little guy, but he obviously there is some disagreement as to kind of what he believes in, what people think, and those are discussions that obviously should continue. Um, so he basically summed it up by saying that Nicki Minaj was in the right in and that she and he highlighted in his show that he was doing that what she was really saying was that you need to make the decision yourself. It shouldn't be mandated from the state upon you. It's a personal decision, and she retweeted what he said and said yes, that's spot on. She retweeted a little video he did on it with an arrow hitting a bullseye on a target. So she obviously agrees with this statement that people should, I mean, it's her statement that people should take responsibility for their own health and come to their own decisions. Um, and then what happened next was very, very interesting. And it's not what I expected from Nicki Minaj as somebody who is big, popular, kind of mainstream.
Yeah.
Um,
Hashtag Barb Nation.
so, so in response to her saying that Tucker Carlson was correctly representing what she felt, um, somebody came along and said, he's a white nationalist, right? Um, and I know this of this person. His name is Hassan, as you can see there. He's kind of on the left of the political spectrum. A lot of people think he's hypocritical, that he's kind of brainless, whatever things you want to say. So he accused Tucker Carlson of being a white nationalist, and he said to Nicki Minaj, "Why are you endorsing a white nationalist?" And what Nicki Minaj said was very interesting. It's very interesting. I didn't expect someone of her caliber and her influence to have said this. She said, "Right, so I can't speak to, agree with, even look at someone from a particular political party. People aren't human anymore. If you're black and a Democrat tells you to shove marbles up your rear end,
Buttocks.
you simply have to. If another party tells you to look out for that bus, you have to stand there and get hit." Now, what I believe Nicki Minaj is saying here is that you should listen to multiple sources. You should listen to people who agree with you, disagree with you, maybe people who don't care, um, and you should make your mind up on that basis, on that specific occasion. I don't think she's essentially saying that you shouldn't let tribalism or what a political party says influence the way that you think. It should be the other. It should be you coming to your own decision with as much evidence as you can find. And I think that's the thing that people missed from what Nicki Minaj was actually saying. She seems to be saying that you should be an independent thinker, like a lot of, I would say a lot of people are, but you do get that certain minority of people on Twitter who tend to be just, if one person says this, then it's wrong or it's right, depending on what political faction they're a part of. I think a lot of us in our time as well, I would say on a personal note, have encountered people like this who are just almost completely wedded to a certain way of thinking, and that's what steers their decision making. I think
Yeah.
that's terrible. I think it should be the other way around. I think you should make decisions for yourself and then decide what you want to do. It's like what you were saying, Haley, with the Canadian politics.
Yeah.
You should, if you're drawn to the New Democratic Party, I'm just kind
Yeah.
of singling that one out, or the Conservatives or anyone else, but in this occasion it's the New Democratic. You should look at what they say. If they have a bad idea, criticize it because that's how they get better. Um, if there's something you like about it, you should be in support of it. You should be interested in it. And if your views change, then maybe you should change. Like, do you kind of get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you should pick and choose what you want as opposed to letting someone else do the thinking for you. I think that's very
Exactly.
dangerous. It seems
Yeah.
to be something that Nicki Minaj is calling attention to, and I love the way that she broke apart what he was saying, what the person was saying to her, and maybe even put a bit of vulgarity in there. I think that's interesting. I like the way that she did that, because it means that she's just tearing through all of the BS, I would say,
Yeah.
and just getting straight to the point.
Yeah.
He's pretty
And
vocal.
then
I vote Nicki Minaj for Canadian Prime Minister.
can you imagine that? She'd be rapping about like Quebec being a load of, I don't know, S words. And then
Ooh.
what happened is it got even more interesting. So then the media picked up on this and I was following it. In my opinion, they were completely misrepresenting what she was saying. My mum actually came to me at one point and saying, "Do you believe she's saying this?" And I was like, "Actually, if you look at what she's saying, she wasn't endorsing a specific thing. The only thing she really endorsed was the fact that you should make a decision for yourself." She alluded to something that she heard and then said, "You guys make your own mind up," which I think is very honest. I like that. So she had a go at Jimmy Jimmel. I think somebody
Jimmy
spelled that one
Kimmel?
wrong. But on a side note, I can't stand Jimmy Kimmel. He's so cringe, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. Oh my god, the hop and
he's-
pop.
I don't find him funny. He
Or
seems to just be
whatever he
like.
did.
I kind of
See-
find him funny, I won't lie.
Can I just say that
every
he's another
challenge.
person. He's another person that's been in blackface, and nobody seems to care. But so she called out Jimmy Kimmel, who was making fun of her and making fun of all of this, and she was like, "No, you're rubbish. Shut up." And then everybody's favorite person, Piers Morgan, chimed in and said that Nicki Minaj was one of the rudest little madams he's ever met. And then obviously, as you can see, she replied to that by saying, "Sir, I've never met you. I know we all look alike. Rudest little madam, I like it. Has a special ring to it. Thanks, Pierce. Love the accent. I'd love to come chat. scones, tea, clown nose, and big red shoes for you. Let me know, babe. I love the way she's able to just cut through all of this crap that you see online, and all of these kind of rehearsed words, and from the journalism class, from a lot of the media class, just cut through all this rubbish, get straight to her fans. And as you can see at the top of the page there, she has 22.8 million followers.
Oh wow.
That's a lot of people
I didn't know that.
who would have seen this happening. I don't know if I agree with Nicki Minaj on any other issues, many other issues, but I do think that this was an interesting little event that happened where essentially the whole media teamed up against her, and she was like, "Actually, shut up. This is stupid. Like, don't be a moron. Listen to what I was actually saying." I believe she might even be considering lawsuits, but don't hold me to that. And Piers Morgan, because he said that she was one of the rudest little madams, she changed her profile. She changed her bio to "rudest little madam" with a British flag.
Oh
So
wow.
she's following the Greta Thunberg
Yeah,
model,
rudest old madam.
yeah, which is to copy what your opponent is saying to you, and kind of own it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's very interesting. It's an interesting dialogue that seems to be happening between someone
I
very
like it.
famous and the media.
I
I've
do.
gained a little bit of appreciation for Nicki Minaj. She seems to be talking like a normal person, would. And all of these professional people on Twitter seem to be taking her out of context as much as they can for articles and all that rubbish.
Yeah, all journalists do that.
I would say, listen to what she's saying, and understand that she's saying you're comfortable. If you're comfortable with the decisions you are making, then go for it. Make it. It really is, if you think about it, the same as the abortion debate, which I think you raised earlier, didn't you, Haley?
Yes.
It's if you feel like this is something you need to do, then I believe that you should have bodily autonomy. You should have the right to do things that affect your body. And nobody, not even the state, should be able to tell you that you can, or that you must, or that you cannot do this thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are little things like you can't go out and murder people, for example, but
Yeah.
you see what I mean. Like stuff that affects your
Some
body,
countries
the
you
way the
can.
state. Some countries. Can you? I wonder which ones, but I think it's very interesting to hear that from a celebrity as popular as Nicki Minaj is. I think it's quite a brave thing to do. Actually, I didn't expect it. What do you guys think? What's your opinion?
I love how she's being so real. Like, I always will stand Nicki Minaj as part of our band for her music and just for her realness. Like, she's got like a, part of my language, she's got like take no shit, give no shit attitude towards people who like try to like come at her and stuff. And like, I won't say she's unproblematic because she's very problematic, but like she handles it the best personally out of every other like influencer slash celebrity I've seen. Like, I just love her.
It's interesting to see. I know I keep saying it, but it's interesting to see someone of her caliber. I mean, she's been around a long time.
Yeah, I
In
want to bring
music.
her onto the show next time. And
She's gonna
the
be like,
cousin and the cousin's friend, just get them all on the show.
well, apparently, what I've heard is that the cousin's friend actually wants to openly talk, because apparently he's being harassed now by a load of journalists who have found out who he is.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So that's secondhand knowledge, but I believe that's from she did share some WhatsApp photos of journalists bothering this random person. So I don't know how they found him, but they did. So
They're
they
sneaky.
very scary, sneaky, scary journalists. But
Eh.
I mean, they do good work in other areas, but they need to get off of Twitter. They really do.
Mhm.
Well, they need to maybe stay on Twitter, but like find other things to talk about. It's not just about what's in your feed, guys. Like, you need to You need to go out and see the real world. You need to talk about real problems, not about what Nicki Minaj is saying. I mean, she does have 22 million followers, but at the same time, all she's telling those followers is that they need to make decisions for themselves. And I think that's very responsible. And people seem to have understood what she was saying originally. So yeah, think for yourself, guys.
Basically.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything further to add to that? Or
Not to this subject.
Haley?
Not really. All I know is Stan Nikki, Barb's Nation!
I do like Nikki. So finally, what we wanted to show you is a Roblox quote that I took down. I've blanked out the person's username because I don't want you people harassing them. But I'm gonna try and read this out. They are the same breed as the other toe. They would work with. I don't want to say what that could be. Other for a fish. And I've drawn a little picture underneath of my interpretation of what this person is trying to say.
Oh, this makes sense. Yeah.
Do you like it? I worked for a long time on it.
Yeah, that's a really good photo.
It was your artist check. Next fan go Picasso.
Anybody have any last comments as we start to wrap up here?
I think that this has been an interesting segment of our little channel. I think we should continue.
It sure has been.
I think we should continue this.
Then
we originally were going to have 4, but Titan had to walk his dog.
I was just like, nah, fam, I'm
but
out.
he
got, like literally like 5 minutes before we started, he's like, I gotta go, guys, and we're like, Titan.
He did message me and say that we're doing a good show. So
yes, he did for me. I think Titan did have that little segment yesterday, so I suppose that makes up for it. But we will include Titan next time. We really have to end this show because I can see errors in my art and it looks terrible. Can you see the little gray thing?
Oh, you're fine. Okay, so
my magnum opus.
So before
Jack, pop now.
But before I end this, I just want to add a disclaimer. Please don't take everything we say. Don't try to throw it out of context or anything. We're just a bunch of.
Don't sue us.
Yeah, we're
just a bunch of lunatics. Just making fun.
We're completely broke, so we cannot afford a lawyer. Please.
No, please. I checked my bank account today. I have $5 to my name. Please don't sue us.
You have more than me.
I have 35 cents.
Don't sue us.
I have 35 cents. So
this bread in this picture here is.
And also the light bill's due tomorrow, so I'm in a situation.
No suing.
Yeah.
No suing. Thank you.
I have 35 cents and I have to pay the light bill, so blah, blah, blah.
I gotta pay for the horse in my backyard. Please don't sue
Okay,
me.
so thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.
Repeat that, Jack.
Thank you to Haley for her debut episode. It's been fun.
Yep, we had a good time.
It really has. I really enjoyed it, and it was wonderful to be here with y'all for this segment.
So I'm going to shut off our mics, and we're going to get to the outro.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
All right. That was our first episode of Random Fandom. Please tune in for more. And have a good night.